Good day, my name is Emmanuel and today I'm going to introduce you to the world of Philips Saeco. To understand a little bit better what is Philips Saeco, you really need to understand the world of the coffee and what's the coffee market. You know, coffee today is super complex. You have over 350 kinds of beans of coffee that's being introduced into this world. However, there's only two kinds of coffee beans that we can consume as drinkers. One is the Arabica and the other one is the Robusta. Two are totally different kind of beans. However, both are having their advantages and their disadvantages, and there is all kind of quality of coffee that you can find in the market. Today, I really want to demystify what's the quality of the coffee, what's the good taste of a coffee, and how a coffee machine can optimize the procedure of getting the best taste of coffee you can have in your cup. So, how can you recognize a good coffee cup? There's four things you need to understand. Coffee market is all about four things: vision, smell, taste, and touch. That is crucial because coffee is no longer only about having caffeine in the morning and just getting back to work. Today, coffee is all about experience. It's all about tasting. It's about exploring and having a good story behind it. So, Saeco is all behind that. That's how Saeco started everything in the beginning of the 1980s. We're gonna move forward to it a little bit later. So, what you need to understand a little bit more about espresso today is that espresso is a little bit different of what is regular coffee. Regular coffee is being torrefied into something kind of pressure for a certain amount of time. In what regards espresso, it's been torrefied more time and with more pressure, which makes it taste totally different. If you try a regular coffee bean into an espresso machine, it will work, but your coffee is gonna be flat. If you taste coffee with espresso beans, because it's been torrefied in a different way, with higher pressure, the richness of the taste is higher. So that's why it is super flavored when you taste an espresso. This being said, there's a little bit of basic knowledge you need to understand about espresso. A regular espresso is always 7 grams of coffee that's been torrefied with 2 ounces of water. And that's the perfect standard espresso. Now, you'll understand that the tastes of everyone is quite different. So there's a way of personalize your coffee. Then you go with the allongé, which when we're speaking about an allongé, it's more water, so it's 4 ounces of water with the same quantity of coffee, which is at 7 grams. Now, if you're talking about an Americano, Americano is a little bit different because it all started in Second World War. When Americans got into European territory, they started drinking espresso. But espresso was super strong for them that was used to drink regular coffee. So what they do is that diluted more water with the espresso, which made a café americano, which is a little bit more water than coffee with an allongé. So this being said, you understand now what's the difference between an espresso, an allongé, and an americano. But this brings us to a next level. Today, there's a big trend in the market. You see Starbucks, you see McDonald's, and you see all the coffee market retailers are offering now a huge portfolio of different type of coffees with lattes, macchiatos, specialty coffees, and all those have different characteristics. As you can see right over here, a cappuccino is composed of 1/3 of espresso, 1/3 of hot milk, and 1/3 of frothed skim milk. If you want to make the difference between a cappuccino and a macchiato is a little bit different. A macchiato is an espresso with a small amount of milk froth. So it's a little bit different from the cappuccino. A latte macchiato is a little bit different too, because you need to have an espresso with 2/3 of milk and 1/3 of frothed milk. And to end, you need a cafe latte. That's really basically super simple. It's espresso, hot milk, and just a little bit of milk froth. Now, this might be a little bit confusing because at the end of the day, it all looks similar. It's all about the amount of coffee you're having in it, the amount of milk, and the amount of frothed milk that you'll have. Among your training, you'll receive this presentation, so if you have any questions, please make sure you follow up with this presentation to make sure you have all the information about all the differences in coffee. This being demystified, now we can start to introduce ourselves in the world of Philips Saeco. See, Philips Saeco started in 1981 in Italy. What was the basic idea behind Saeco was that, well, the regular espresso coffee making as we know it today with an automatic machine started in the 1920s with Mr. Gaggia. Gaggia was the one that introduced the Saeco with the pressure of 15 bar and the same amount of coffee with coffee being pressurized and been influenced by water to make sure that we have an espresso as we know it today. Saeco take this to another level. They took the Gaji idea and said, well, there must be a way of simplifying the way we're doing espresso out of manual machines. If we could only make a machine that I need to press a button and everything makes by itself, it will simplify the life of everyone. So Saeco with the years started developing patents and technologies that would allow them to develop such nice machines with very specific features that will make coffee making simpler today. So with time, they develop patents, they develop technology, they develop a history behind espresso coffee to make it today what we know as Saeco, the #1 brand in automatic espresso machines. This being said, there's 3 key messages that differentiate Saeco from the rest of the brands that we know in the market, such as Jura, DeLonghi, Nespresso, and all other many competitors that we can find in the market. #1 is taste. All what you'll find in the Saeco machines, it's about optimizing the taste of your coffee. We don't want to lose coffee. We want to get the most richest coffee that you can find in your cup because, as I told you before, coffee is all about experience today. So we want to make sure that when the consumer gets into a Saeco machine, it's all about we're gonna find the best taste of quality of your coffee in your cup. Second factor is simplicity of use. As I mentioned, all the idea behind Saeco in the 1980s was about simplifying the way we're doing espresso today. So all what you're going to find in our Saeco machines is about programming and simplifying the life of all coffee drinkers with one single touch. And third and most important, it's the design. Today we really want to make sure that all our machines that are going to be launched in the market are compatible and fits with the trends that will follow up in the market in what's regard kitchen appliances, electronic appliances, fashion, and trends. So those 3 messages are the main channels that we need to understand to have a better overview of what is the Saeco world today. This being said, we're going to talk about taste because it's the first factor I just spoke to you about 2 seconds ago. Why is taste so important in the world of Saeco? All new automatic machines that you'll find in the market has been certified by the Italian tasters, the professional Italian tasters in Italy. We're the only brand in the market that have a certification that allow us to claim that our machines make a perfect espresso and a perfect cappuccino for those machines that have an automatic milk function. So how did we make this possible? There's a story behind it. First is that in all our automatic Saeco machines, we have a patent. The first one is the Saeco adapting system. What is the Saeco adapting system? It's super simple. All our machines are intelligent and powerful enough to be able to evaluate the coffee we're putting in it. Let me explain myself. I told you at the beginning of this presentation that we can find many different kind of coffees. There's only 2 kind of beans that we're consuming, but there's ways of cultivating it, there's way we're proceeding the torrefaction, there's different origins, there's different weathers. So all these factors makes that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter which kind of bean you're using, it's always a different experience. So this being said, we said that we want to optimize the taste of the coffee with our machines. So what the machine is going to make is that the machine is going to, with a bunch of algorithms, is going to be able to calculate and evaluate what's the torrefaction level of the coffee bean you're putting in, what's the color of the coffee, what's the volume of your coffee, is it small beans or it's bigger beans, and all that the machine is going to adapt the grinders inside to make sure that while grinding and while infusing the coffee, the procedure is optimized to make sure you have the maximum of taste in your coffee cup. So how it works is that the machine, once you put your coffee beans inside, it's going to take 2 or 3 cups to make sure they optimize the procedure of infusing and grinding the coffee to have the best result possible. If I ever change a coffee bean, for example, if tomorrow I buy a bag of coffee in another store that is different from the first one, it's going to take another 2 or 3 cups before the machine can get optimal results in your cup. Have that in mind, it's super important. So key #1, Saeco adapting system. Once I've put the coffee in the machine and the machine has evaluated what kind of coffee I've put, the coffee travels into the grinders. All Saeco machines well, at least all automatic Saeco machines have ceramic grinders. So this is a second patent that we have because no competition have ceramic grinders in their machines. But why is ceramic so important? There's three key reasons. So the first one is that the consistency of the grinding is always equal. So in long-term perspective, it's gonna be better for the coffee because it doesn't use, you don't need to sharp back your grinders, and it always offers the same consistency of grinding at the end of your cup. Second is that your grinders actually do not overheat your coffee, because ceramic, when it's moving and when it's insenating and frothing together, it doesn't overburn, the temperature does not increase. Why is so important? Because the coffee, the espresso coffee, is already being burned. It's already being baked in the torrefaction procedure. So if we use, for example, aluminum or metal or stainless steel grinders, when it's moving, it heats. And when it's heating, you're burning back your coffee. And when you're burning back your coffee, you're losing natural properties of your coffee bean. Remember, it's always about optimizing the taste of your coffee. If you overburn your coffee bean, you're losing coffee taste, and we don't want that. So it's super important that you know that the ceramic grinders allow you to respect the properties of your coffee and to be able to extract the maximum of the taste of that coffee bean you're using in your machine. So the second factor is ceramic grinders. After that, there's also many customization options that we have in most of our Saeco machines. Here, in your coffee drop, there's what we call a grinding adapter. So you can adapt your machine to be able to select how you want your grinders to be adapted. If you want a very, very coarse coffee or a very, very fine coffee. What's the big difference? What's the big deal behind that feature? It's super simple. If I put a very big bag with sand in it and actually I drop water into it, it's gonna diluate easier if the sand is super powdered. If the sand is coarser, the water won't get diluted into it. It's exactly the same idea with coffee. If the coffee is coarser, it's gonna have a harder time to get diluted into water, so the taste of the coffee is gonna be a less softer. If your coffee is grinded in a very powdered, very finer way, well, then the coffee is gonna be diluted in a simpler way and easier into the water, and then the taste of your coffee is gonna be bigger. Is that better or bad? No, there's no good answer. It all regards what's the taste of the consumer. Some people like to have a super tasty coffee, others prefer to have it a little bit softer. So this is the first customization option that you have. You can optimize and you can configure your grinders to make sure that if you want coarser or finer coffee. Why is that so important? Because the first thing you're gonna tell your consumer is that if you're somebody that don't drink a super strong coffee, maybe once you set up your machine to make sure that your coffee is coarser. The most experienced espresso drinker is gonna go with a finer taste. Okay? So this takes me to another step, the pre-brewing system. This is another super nice feature that we have in all our automatic machines. Why is pre-brewing so important? Let's go back to our sandbag that I just spoke about a couple seconds ago. So if I put a big bag of sand right in front of me and I verse a water bottle in it, water is gonna travel in a very disparate way. It's not gonna be uniform. So it's gonna be spots with sand that is gonna be dry and others that are gonna be warmed. Why is that so important in coffee? It's exactly the same idea. If I have a bag of coffee, if I have coffee in a capsule and I travel water in it, if the coffee is not being pre-infused or pre-humidified, the water is gonna make a disparate way through it. And there's part of coffee that's gonna be dry and there's part of coffee that's gonna be humid. So we're losing coffee if we're not pre-humidifying. So the idea of the pre-brewing is that we're gonna compress water. We're gonna send some compressed water into the ground coffee that would allow the water to travel easier into the coffee and take the 100% of the coffee we're putting in it. Because most of the machines in the market don't do that. And without pre-brewing, you're losing coffee. You're losing coffee. And actually, if you're losing coffee, you're putting coffee in the garbage. And we don't want you to lose money. Again, it's all back to make sure that you get 100% of your taste. We want to make sure that you have the best coffee in your cup. So this will help out to do it. So once the coffee is being pre-infused, the coffee is it's pre-brewed actually. There's water coming with high pressure. This pressure is the 15 bar. Why 15 bar? Because among the world, it is recognized that to make an optimal espresso, you need to have a pressure of with water of 15 bars. And that's what we're finding in all our machines. Once the coffee is being infused, the coffee will fall down into your cup. And then we have other super nice features that will allow you to personalize and customize your coffee. So this is a super specific feature because I spoke to you earlier today and I said that a perfect espresso is been infused with 7 grams of coffee. But there's some people that really wants to have a stronger coffee, a stronger espresso. So this is a super nice feature that we have in all or most of our machines actually, is that you can choose if you want to grind 7 grams, 9 grams, or 10 grams. So a little bit later in this training, we're going to walk through our machines and you're going to have a better understanding how to program this feature. But you need to understand that the consumer can program and customize your coffee in terms of on the length of your coffee, the strength of your coffee, the coffee grinding options, just to make sure that you optimize the taste of your coffee once you make it into your cup. Once you've chosen the strength of your coffee, there's another patent that we have in our machines. But you need to understand, not all machines have this feature. Only 2 of them have it. The Xprilia, that's retail $1,999, and the Excelsis, starting at $2,800. What is the SBS? The Saeco brewing system is this little round part that you have in your machine. Why is that so important? Because you know, the real connoisseur, the real expert in espresso really looks forward for one thing in your espresso. It's the little crema. The crema is the little texture, the little foam that you find over your coffee. Why is that important? Because the crema has the entire expression of the coffee. That's where all the aromas and all the expression, all the flavor, and all the good taste of the coffee is concentrated. So the real espresso lover wants to control the crema and wants to have a very thicker crema. So while playing with this, while the coffee is being infused, I can increase or decrease the pressure at which the coffee is falling into my cup. If I increase the pressure, well then the coffee is going to fall down in a less nicer texture, but it's going to have a bigger crema. In the inverse way, if I decrease the pressure into which the coffee is falling into my cup, the coffee is going to fall down thicker, faster, but it's going to have less crema. Again, there's no good answer if it's good or bad. It's always about personalizing the coffee in front of the taste of each and one of the consumers that are using a Saeco machine. So once that is done, we can make a big overview of what are the main features that we can find all over our Saeco machines. So I spoke to you about the Saeco adapting system, which is the grinders that automatically adjust themselves to the kind of coffee you're using. I spoke about ceramic grinders that avoid overheating and losing properties of your coffee. I spoke to you also about the pre-brewing. The pre-brewing that makes you have 100% of your coffee in your cup. And I spoke to you also about the SBS, the Saeco brewing system that allowed you to control the pressure into which the coffee is being falling into your cup. This being said, there's another feature that we have in one of our machines. Into the Excelsis, our big baby, our state-of-the-art machine, we have many milk functions. So into your machine, you can program all the milk options that you have with it. You can choose the strength of your milk, you can choose the length of your milk, the temperature of your milk, and you can customize your cappuccino, your macchiato, your latte, everything's configurable. Again, we're gonna move forward with it a little bit later once we get into the training with Excelsis, but you need to understand this is a super nice feature that we can find in this machine. So, after speaking about the taste of coffee, because all what I've mentioned so far regards the taste of the coffee, we wanted to optimize the taste of your coffee. So now that we've spoke about the taste of the coffee, now I spoke to you about a second channel. I spoke to you about easy of use. Why easy of use? Because all our machines has a super nice interface. We're gonna move forward all the machines a little bit later, but they're all super simple. Most of people, when they get closer to an automatic machine, they're scared of it because they say, well, super sophisticated machine, $1,000, must be complicated to use. I'm scared of breaking in. There's electronic devices in it. You need to make sure and reassure your consumers that it's super simple to use. It's only about one button. Once you open your machine, you put it on the counter, you configure all your settings, and once that is done, it's only about one touch. And it's not super hard to find. The menus are super easy to access with very nice interfaces and electronic devices. People don't need to be scared about this. It's a super simple solution. Remember, it's always about simplifying the world of coffee for all our consumers. There's also main factors about simplicity of use. All our machines are super easy to clean and have super easy accessible features in all our machines. Everything is super easy to access. I can open here, the brewing group is here. Here you have your coffee drop, here you have your water drop, super easy to clean, super easy to set up back. And if you want to have access to your brewing group, it's super easy to take out. You just need to take it out like this. You can rinse it back into water and you can put it back. There you go. Once it's clicked, it doesn't come back over. Super easy, and it's the same procedure with all our machines. In what regards your coffee drop and your reservoir, everything's right over here. You just open the little door, you put your coffee there. If you need to water, again, it's super easy. You need to take out the cover, you pull this out, and you can have and refill your water. And it's exactly the same bottom line and exactly the same story with all our machines. Everything is super easy to access and super easy to use. Also, what you need to understand about all our automatic machines is that they have an auto cleaning mode. So each and one of the machines, after a certain time of using, they will auto rinse all the circuits. So this is super important because a lot of people are scared about the maintenance in those machines. You don't need to do any maintenance. The only thing you need to do is take out the coffee drops once in a while, but otherwise the machine will take care by itself. It will rinse all the circuits inside the machine and will clean each time it turned off, each time it turned on, and after an amount of time that it hasn't been used. All our automatic machines does that feature. So don't worry for cleaning your machines. Super simple to use. Now let's speak about design. Today, all the machines are really looking into the metal finish, most of them at least. Because as today, if you look and if you go into a kitchen store, you're gonna notice that today the new trend is all about stainless steel, nice design, squared, large, taking space, massive, impressive machines. We really want to have the same look with our machines. Simplicity of use, having a nice taste, but really make sure that all our machines can fit in any counter of any kitchen of any consumer. It doesn't matter if it's in an apartment, in a condo, in a house, in an office, but it needs to fit. So it's all about premiumness. It's all about having nice features. Everything's really about simplicity of using the automatic machines. Now we've made a big turn into automatic machines, but you need to understand also, at Saeco, we're not only using automatic machines. There are some consumers that like it the old school way, when you control the pressure, when you had the little portafilter that you had to adjust and that you could make your own coffee, not in an automatic way. Those solutions still exist and we still use them and we still do them. So we have a collection of manual machines that will allow the consumer to have it if they want to have a smaller machine, but the only difference is that this time they'll have to work and stay next to the machine to make your coffee. The machine won't make all automatic. So what makes us so different? There's one super important feature in all our manual machines. It's what we call the pressurized filter crema. The pressurized filter crema, once we get into the aroma a little bit later today, you'll see that the portafilter has a technology that allows us to pressurize the coffee to have a very nice crema. Not all the machines have that. And you'll understand a little bit later when I introduce you into the portafilter what's the big difference and what makes it so special. What you really need to understand so far in a very basic way is that our manual machines can also provide you a super nice quality of coffee in your cup. so you can optimize the flavor and that you can make sure that you can have a very, very nice crema, even if you don't have a control on the pressure while it's being infused. Also, in all our manual machines, you have many little features. You have some adapters that will allow you to not only have ground coffee, you can also have little capsules of espresso that you can use with it. I'll show it to you a little bit later once we get with the aroma. So Philips Saeco portfolio has been distinguished in three different sectors. The first one is the manual machines, right? So the manual machines, so you understand in a pricing factor how it's been divided. Manual starts over at $179 and goes until $475. So that's the enterprise for manual machines, right? Once if you want to make the jump into the automatic machines, you can start one at $599 with the X-Mall, and you can jump until a price of $1,599. Once you've reached that top and you really want a super high-end machine, you can start at $2,000 and make it stop at $3,200. So there's a big difference in terms of range. Now, a consumer could ask itself, why would I pay $1,000 or $2,000 for a machine, for a coffee machine, when I can buy, for example, an espresso or a Keurig machine? Let's make a big difference. An average espresso made by an espresso machine with an espresso cup, average price is 75 cents a cup. Now, make 75 cents, make 3 coffee a day, and multiply it by 365. You're pretty close to $850 a year only in coffee. Now, take that in a 2-year perspective, because a lifetime of a machine, of an average machine made by an espresso is 2 years. Let's say you buy an espresso and you bought it for $250 and you need to buy another one in 2 years after. You're already at $500. Add to that $750 of coffee for 2 years, makes it $1,500. So you're already at $2,000. However, there's one little thing. Nespresso won't allow you to personalize your coffee, won't let you have control on your coffee, won't make you choose your coffee. They choose everything. You only have to select the cups, but you don't select the origin. You can customize the temperature, you can customize the length, you can customize the strength of your coffee. And actually, with those machines you can even make tea. You can even make hot chocolate, because you still have access to hot water. So there's a multi-purpose machine that you have with those, not with Nespresso. And you can ask yourself, how many times do you go to Tim Hortons or to McDonald's? They charge you $2, $5 for a coffee. With this machine, it costs you maximum, with a very super high-end kind of coffee, 14 cents. 14 cents, at the end of the year, it's much more reasonable. And also, those machines won't last you only for a year or two. If you take good care of your machine, it can last you even 10, even 15 years if you take proper care of it. So there's a bunch of advantages of buying Philips Saeco. Make sure you give the proper message. Make sure you understand your consumers the 3 messages: simplicity of use, taste, design, and make sure you go further all the key features that I just explained to you, and make sure you get this related to the price, and the consumer should be super sensitive into this. We really want to make sure that everything that regards Saeco, it's about premiumness, Italian heritage, consumer experience, and really we want them to identify Saeco as the pioneers of automatic machines. This being said, this makes a big overall of the story of Saeco. I hope this might help you out. Again, I remind you that you have this presentation as a reference. If you may have any questions, please refer to this. This is your main tool.